Hey everybody, and thanks for watching Woodcrest Bonsai. Today I'm going to continue trimming my Parrot's beak that are growing in ice cream containers. And they're developing nicely, but because they grow so quickly with very long leggy growth, they do need a little bit more maintenance than other trees that grow more slowly. I'm going to start as I'm talking. So we have some nice movement here up the branch here. Nice gentle curve. So the first main branch should come out somewhere in here, and this one is just about perfect. So I'm going to take this guy off. I'm going to take this guy off. I'm going to take the back off. And then I'm going to shorten him tremendously, even though he will be the first main branch. I really love the gentle movement in the trunk here. And then we have a perfect place for a second main branch. And there are 3, 4 different branches coming out of the very same place. This one is coming up too much. And this one here is going back too much. And just like Goldilocks. And this one was just right. But it also needs to come off. And we have a back branch that needs to be just reduced a little bit. And then continue the movement up here, so we have our another branch coming out of the outside of the curve up here, which would be another pad, another branch to give it some depth, and then we're going to take the apex up into here. So the apex will be up into here. Very nice motion, really growing really nicely. I'm falling in love with Parrot's beak. They are a lot more maintenance, but it's a paradox, because when you grow a tree that grows very quickly, you can develop it very quickly, but they also need more maintenance. And once again, if we do the rule of thirds, if this is a third of the way up the tree for the first main branch, then this tree is going to be considerably taller. And continue that motion up. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a third. I've grown some pretty decent bonsai that I really thought were very nice, where the first branch wasn't much more than half the way up the trunk. And that's all a matter of personal taste. But the rule is the rule of thirds. Third, third, third. So I'm going to go get another one. This one is much stumpier. And if we remove some of the leaves here, we'll see that there's a huge cutback right here. And it was probably a tree that was growing so straight with really no pizzazz. So I just chopped it to a stump and started over. And the scar here is very nasty, so this would be the front of the tree. We've got this little tiny bit of growth that's hiding that, and sometimes you can do that. So this is going to be a much smaller tree. I'm going to take this guy as the first main branch and then cut up into here and create more of an apex up in here. No, actually this would be the first main branch, sorry. And as this is the first main branch, then you won't notice the weird split. Once again, if we turn it here, you see it has some nasty reverse taper. It appears to me that all of this is dead too. If I scrape that away, it's died all the way back to here. But when we do this, and if we create first main branch right there, so this is going to be a much, much smaller tree. So that's number 2. This tree has a scar way low, a really big scar. And I like the motion of the trunk with this as the front. But I may have to change things around because I really don't like that scar. So if we go like this, you know, it's obvious I've been growing this as the front because I have been allowing all this stuff in the back. So if we grow it like this, it's like, where are we? So cut a lot of this stuff off. See what kind of front it would make. It has a scar right there, but that will heal. And I think it does have potential. This may be one where the front changes. This may end up being the front because of the way that the apex moves like this. So many times when I put my trees into asymmetrical training pots, and once again these are ice cream containers so they're ovals, the front quote unquote that I choose may not be the ultimate front of the tree. And if you use a round training pot like a bulb pan, which a lot of people do, then of course you can always pick the front later because it's round. There never is a front on a round pot. So I think that will actually make a pretty nice little tree, the movement up into here and then up into here, which means that this will be the front. And if we look at the pot, it's skewed quite a bit from, you know, being straight like that. And that's part of the process of growing pre-bonsai. I try never to force a front. There's always the potential to change. So that's the next one. This one is a much taller tree, or will be a much taller tree. As you can see, the gray wood comes all the way up into here. First main branch in a perfect position would be about right there, but we can take this guy and wire him down. However, gets a cutback. This branch here really is not part of the deal, so we're going to take him off because this is going to be the next main branch, which will need to be wired forward. Or what we can do is we can just take this growth that is coming forward and bring it down like that, and then cut this guy so it goes back out. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring it down like that and then check out which leaf. So there's something called directional pruning where you prune to a leaf. Now we have our leader here, and then we have this new growth that has come up from here. And I could make this the new leader, which would create a lot more taper, but I'm going to continue with the leader I've already chosen. And that can also just be a personal decision. Cutting to a smaller leader like that will create more taper, but it usually increases the amount of time until you have a finished tree. So first main branch, second main branch, got a decent back branch. This is going to be a much taller tree, and it'll probably be more feminine looking based on the fact that it does not have a tremendous amount of taper. So trees with heavy taper and real heavy duty trunks have a more masculine feel to them, and trees with thinner trunks and less taper are typically considered more feminine trees. This one has very nice motion at the base, and I don't know if you can really tell. Let me get those leaves off because they're certainly not going to be part of the design. But the very first cutback on this guy was right here. You can see that scar. And then the whole rest of the tree grew from there. And then I had another huge cutback right here, another scar right there. So these trees have been grown very long and leggy and cut back to what I'm doing now numerous times. This is probably number 3 or 4. Unfortunately, I never kept real good records. But now I am, because every video gives me a record of what I've done. Apex is going way away from us, so maybe this should be the frontier. And it's got some scars, but at this early stage we can do that and then look to the future. Pre-bonsai is always a work in progress, and the changeability of where you want the front and your branches is pretty major. As you get older trees that are more established, that are more finished, then the restyling of those trees is rarer, although it does happen. These guys here can be restyled any number of times before they become a finished tree. This tree is very straight with virtually no taper. So I've talked in other videos about how I'm going to continue to work as I talk. You get trees that are A quality trees, B quality trees, C quality trees. This tree could still be nice, but that lack of taper will make it more difficult to create taper. I could leave this little tiny growth here and some other here and form sacrifice branches, which is probably what I will do. It also has a big knob right here. You can see there where the first main branch comes out, where it's been cut and cut and cut. So this will probably be a decent enough tree, but it's probably more of a C as far as on the scale of ABC. Still worth keeping and still worth growing, because I've always reminded when I have a tree like this, they look and say, oh man, I don't know, of the story of the ugly duckling. And I'm sure we all know the story of the ugly duckling. So because it's just not, it's not as great as the rest, doesn't mean it isn't worth growing and attempting to style and see what happens. There's another part of this tree that we don't know, which is there's no nabari. So we could very easily come down here and take some of the soil away and find that there's very interesting nabari. So the tree still has potential. Here is another tree very similar to most of the rest. It has a very nice movement here. This is the original chop, which you can see. And then there's another pretty major chop right here. So we've got some branching that at this point, the first main branch is never going to be this low, because this tree is not going to be that short. So this will be the first main branch. This can be the first main branch. This one here can be the second main branch, even though it's tiny right now. No big deal. I'm going to take all of this growth off because I want the curve to come back this way. And I'm going to shorten all of this, shorten the back branch, and then let this guy be the leader. I'm going to shorten that branch too. And this is another one that could possibly be moved a little bit over one way or the other versus the way it is in the pot right now as far as the quote-unquote front. And I know I've said in the past that when I'm looking at these trees with my eyes, they look fine, and then when I look in the viewfinder, they look like just big globs, like you really can't see any kind of definition. But I think there's just all these little extra leaves, and I'm going to leave them on because those will help develop the tree more. So I just really can't quite figure out that phenomenon. But anyway, this is the last one of this video. So thank you so much for watching. If you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you can watch these guys continue to develop. Every time I do an update, you'll be notified. And liking the video and leaving a comment helps the YouTube algorithm send me to more and more people. So please, just a simple click. I would appreciate it tremendously. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.